Hello everyone. I wanted to make a short video this today, and I'm going to be in Matthew 6 verse 33. I think I just read one verse. I'm going to be in the King James Version of the Bible. And this one verse, though it just be one verse, it's a powerful verse in the Bible. It says, "But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." Um, I remember years ago I was seeking God for salvation, and I worked with a man and people that had salvation in the way, I believe, and I asked him to go have a cup of coffee with me, and I thought he'd tell me some powerful things, and he did. I just didn't realize it at the moment. Out of all, however long we was there, 30 minutes or whatever, he said, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all them things be added to you." Um, it's very important for you to understand that after you make it right with God, you have to keep actively and passionately seeking after God. You're not through. You're just starting. You have just started seeking God. You can't just patty cake with it. You have to be aggressive. Uh, you'd be surprised at the number of people who receive salvation and think, "All right, I've got it made now. I can just put it on cruise control and think of," and then they think that the rest will happen on its own. But it won't work. It doesn't work that way. You can't be passive because passive people get left behind. You can't be casual because if you're too casual, you may become a casualty. You have to be aggressive, and you have to seek after your dream or vision. And he said, without a vision, the people perish. You may not change the world by living this way, but you can change your world. You will think you're waiting on God when in fact he's waiting on you. So you have to know what your it is and seek after it. And we talked in a different video about the it. You can't have 50 or 100 it's. You just need that one or two things that you're passionate about and you're seeking. I heard a story about a professor, and there's different versions of this story. Uh, this professor, he was trying to teach his children, his students, about priorities and things like that. And he gave them all a bucket, and he gave them all rocks, big rocks, and pebbles, and sand, and water. And then he told them to fill their buckets. Most people started with a sand or something, or pebbles or whatever, the little items. But when they couldn't get it filled up the right way, he showed them. He put the big rocks in first. Then he put the pebbles in, and where the big rocks weren't, the pebbles just filtered right in. And then he put uh, the sand in, and the sand just went between the crevices of the other stuff, and then the water. So you have to put your big items in first. Your salvation, your family, um, your church. You have to put those big items in first, and the other things will take care of itself. I said in another video, you have to put Jesus, God, you have to put him right in the middle and work everything else around him. What we do a lot of times is we put the things in the middle and work God around it when we can, and that doesn't work. Uh, some people seemingly uh, this is a shelf. Some people seemingly uh, they put God on the shelf when they don't need him, and when they need him, they drag him off the shelf. Don't need him, put him back on the shelf again. So I think Romans 10:2, I believe that's said, talked about a zeal according to knowledge. There, on the other hand, there's aggressive people. They have the passion, but they don't do it according to knowledge. And I need to catch God. Uh, I remember growing up, we played tag, Red Rover, kick the can, that sort of thing. We didn't have the things that children have to do with. And I know my parents, my father told me what little he had, a lot less than I did. But anyway, playing tag, you would try to catch someone, And that's the way it is with God. I'm trying to catch that one that caught me in the beginning. Some people haven't done away with the old man. They just merely whitewashed over him. It's about all they've managed to do. Seeking God, serving God, that should be the highlight of your life. I've said before, I think it was a song by the Kingsmen that says, walking and talking with Jesus has been the greatest thrill I've ever known. And it has for me, for sure. There's some things you can only learn through suffering. Can't learn them any other way. There's no Wisdom 101 that you can take. You have to learn through suffering. And you know, the good times don't reveal what God got when he got you. It takes the trials. It takes that to know what kind of church member you got, what kind of spouse you got. Good times is what reveals that. God knew all my shortcomings. He knew my gifts. He knew my good parts and my not so good parts. And he tabulated that all together. And he came to the conclusion, I still won't doubt. Thank the good Lord that I had something he saw. I sought God like seeking a gas station when you're just about out of gas. I mean, I was really hunting for him everywhere. If you seek something and it don't come to you, just seek the face of God, and the thing will come on its own. Your reward, it may be a long time coming, but God has a long memory, and he never forgets. All the time it's happening, God is writing it. He's taking notes. He doesn't have amnesia. He hadn't forgot anything. But seek ye first the kingdom. The kingdom won't seek you. You have to seek the kingdom. When you are not thinking about God all the time, the benefits of this, you start thinking about other things. But if you think about God, if that's your focus, then when those thoughts come, you can say, I have no vacancy. You're going to have to move on. How many of you know that there's a big difference between asking and seeking? And to not to believe God. You know, it said it was impossible for him to lie. And to not believe him is almost like an insult. David was a man after God's own heart. It wasn't his thinking or his background, but that he sought God's own heart. You know, David, he played the harp. He wrote poetry. But don't ever mistake David for a wimp, because he was a killer. And, you know, the world, they think that we're pushovers. We can't defend ourselves. They think that that they got the jump on us or whatever. But God is our protector. It said, what man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. So, but seeking God's heart, that's what it's all about. God takes you step by step to the mountain like he did Moses, so you don't faint along the way. And another thing, God, like he did with Moses, he wouldn't let him see the whole being of God, but he gave him a glimpse. And God reveals himself in glimpses and steps and in high places. If Moses had had not got a glimpse and got a direct look, it might have burned his eyes. God gives his glory in glimpse and in steps because we can't handle the full thing. He made 10 commandments and not 10 suggestions. I'm not afraid to die, but I am afraid of coming to the end and dying and not knowing what's in me. God has the key to who I am, so I have to chase him to find out what I've got in me. It's like a police department puts out an APB. The entire department seeks the same thing. So I've got an APB out. Who knows what God will release if I go out on an all-out God hunt? Success doesn't care who it goes home with. It doesn't have any favorites. No one has a patent or copyright on it. It can be for anyone that chooses to use the same formula, the same recipe. I didn't come from a line, my family did not go to church, and I did not come from a line of church-going people. And there was no ministers in my lineage, not of our faith, certainly. And so, but God has no respecter of person. If you make up your mind to seek God, He'll do for you just what He would do for anyone else or all the men in the past. So I've enjoyed getting this to you. Hope everything's good with you. We're still at the backside of the coronavirus and trying to get through this thing. So may God help you. I hope what I've put out has helped you to get through this. So may God bless you until I see you another time.